Welcome to the Life Atelier. It's day 3 of the Prune and Bloom challenge. And today we're going to flip the focus. So we're going to think about first, what do we want to bloom? And so then what do we need to prune to allow it to bloom, right? So if we think about, okay, I want to have new friendships. I want to have friendships where people are aligned with where I am now, and they have the values that I have now, and they're supporting me with the goals that I have now, right? Just in case that wasn't clear, now, it's all about now. So then what we want to do is have a look at and see, okay, where are my current friendships at? How do I want to prune them? You know, is it that I look at each friendship and I decide, yes, it's incredibly important to me to maintain this connection, but actually I want to do that by having contact maybe 3 times a year because we live in different continents, different countries. Maybe this person is important to me because our children have a really good connection. So in that case, I prefer to spend time with them when the kids are together, you know, during the week for a couple of hours versus my weekends where I want to see my friends who I go hiking with, I go walking with. So it doesn't mean you're getting rid of things. It just means that you're sort of, you know, taking your clippers and pruning and looking at, you know, what are you going to lose or minimize to create that space for the things that you want to flourish. So I've got 3 tips here as to how that would relate to our self-confidence. If we want our self-confidence to bloom, we want our self-confidence to flourish, what's the thing that we need to focus on pruning and minimizing in order for that to happen? And I would say today, self-doubt. Okay, and that shows up very often. We can feel that our confidence, our self-confidence is a little bit, you know, I always call it a bit like moth-eaten. Still there, but it's got some holes in, it might rip, you know, some bits are good, some bits are not so good, because our confidence is something that it's, you know, it gets stronger, it gets weaker, it depends what's happening in the background, what's happening outside. So it's not something that we just set and forget. Our confidence is something that we have to curate and we have to nurture. So self-doubt is sort of the moths eating and putting holes in our self-confidence. And yes, if we notice that we're asking other people for their opinions, and then we're valuing those people's opinions more than our own, without intentionally setting parameters, you know, let's say there's a problem with my car and I go to get advice from the mechanic. Well, I've decided in advance, okay, I value this person's advice because they're an expert in this, and they actually probably know more about my car than I do. So in this instance, I'm going to take what they say. Am I then going to talk to my neighbor about what the mechanic thinks? No, not unless my neighbor's a mechanic, right? So that's always a really good sign that we have more self-doubt than we want. You know, we don't want 0 self-doubt because that's veering into psychopath territory, right? It's normal, it's human to have some self-doubt, but we just want to notice if it's useful or not. So our 3 tools are, number 1, identify it. A really good way to identify self-doubt is to try thinking of a goal that you have, whether that's going for a job interview, speaking in public, starting a new business, creating a new relationship. Say it out loud and notice, how do you feel in your body? So if your immediate response is like, oh, or you laugh, that's something I used to do. I'd say my goal out loud and I'd be like, ha ha ha, like, this isn't going to happen. It's a really good sign that we don't think it's possible. We just like, we don't believe it. So then when we set a goal where our self-doubt is at 100%, we're not going to take the action steps needed to create movement to bring that goal to life. So once we've identified that, then we can do something about it. So step 2 is going to be interrupt it. So when we hear the self-criticism, the self-doubt, the voices in our head, we don't need to stop them completely. They're going to be there because, again, you're a human with a human brain. We have self-doubt. But what we can do is we can interrupt them. So we can hear the voice coming in of, you can't do this. And we can say, actually, you're wrong. Okay, and depending on your personality, you can fight with it, right? You can hear the voice and you can say, no, you're wrong because of this reason, and this reason. And you can start to collect evidence why the voice is wrong. Or you can practice being kind to it. You know, if the voice you think is actually the voice of fear and it's not just, you know, criticism, then we can say, okay, I know it's scary, but we're going at our own pace. We're going step by step. We don't need to rush. It's okay. We're going to get support, right? We can soothe it. We can also get curious. Curiosity is a really great way to get out of fight or flight when self-criticism or self-doubt comes up. We can say, are you sure? Is that true? Is it possible that some people have done something like this? Is it possible that we've done things in the past that we didn't think we could do? We can use that curiosity. And now the third thing to do is to overwrite it. So I heard this a couple of weeks ago. I found it fascinating, that neural pathways in our brain, they never disappear. Okay, so once we have them, once we have a thought or a behavior or a belief, it's there. What we have to do is overwrite it, right? So you don't get rid of it, but you make it invisible, and then you create new beliefs. So by overwriting it, it can be, I'm finding new evidence. I'm, you know, something you could do even is like take different paths to work, you know, walk on different routes, and that will also help your brain to get these new neural pathways in place. And we can do and take different action steps, asking for support instead of trying to do things on our own. All of these things start to overwrite and interrupt once we've recognized and we've noticed those patterns. Okay, so identify, interrupt, overwrite, and that's how we create that space for our self-belief and our self-confidence to flourish whilst pruning our self-doubt. So before I go, if you have been thinking about getting more support with your goals, with just improving your life, with just tidying up all the little bits and pieces that you think you would like to tidy up and you would like to make space for better things, we have an offer today. If you sign up for the Fluid English Studio, so if English isn't your first language and you would like some support with that before you join the Prune Bloom membership, which is just for everybody, there's nothing connected to English language in there. I am sending people my favorite notebook by snail mail, which is this one. I adore it. So yes, that's what's happening today. So if you sign up today, we've got a orientation tomorrow. So I'm going to be helping people set their goals. The same for Prune and Bloom. If you sign up for Prune and Bloom, I'm going to post out my favorite notebook to you. I don't know how long it'll take. It took a month to get to me, but it'll be worth it when it gets there. All right, see you tomorrow.